Hi there. So in part 2 of this series of tutorials about making deep and techy sounds inside Massive, I was going to show you how to make a tech house lead. I actually built this sound. It turned out a bit more like a pad type sound, but I thought it was a pretty cool sound anyway, so I'll show you how to make it. Here's the sound that we're going to make in this tutorial. So it's quite a nice sort of deep, kind of vibey sort of sound. They're the MIDI notes I've got going on. So I've got a kind of little bit of an arpeggiator type thing at the start of the riff, and then just some kind of sustained notes really. So we can go ahead and initialize this preset and start setting these oscillators up here. So oscillator 1 is going to be a vulgar wave, and the pitch is going to stay at 0. The intensity is going to come down a little bit. We're actually going to make this a formant, and we're going to do some envelope modulation on this intensity in a second, and keep the amp on full, and we're going to route this oscillator to both filter 1 and filter 2. I'm going to turn on oscillator 2, and I'm going to take the pitch of this up 5 semitones. It's going to be a sine triangle wave, and we're going to keep the wavetable position all the way to the right, so it's just going to be playing a triangle wave. We're going to keep on spectrum, intensity on full, amp on full, and it's going to be routed to both filter 1 and filter 2. Oscillator 3, turn that on. I'm going to take the pitch up of this by 8 semitones, and it's going to stay as a square saw, so wavetable position all the way to the right, so we're just hearing a saw. Intensity going to stay on full, amp on full, and actually no, we're going to bring the amp down a little bit of this, make the oscillator a little bit quieter, and it's going to route to both filter 1 and filter 2. And this is the crux of our sound really, this keeping this pitch at 0 and the +5 and +8 with these deep techy sounds. I really find that the crux of the sound is built from having a nice relationship between these 3 oscillators and getting some nice pitch relationships between the 3 of them as well. So already we've got quite a nice rich harmonic sound that we're going to shape further with the filters and effects and stuff. So for filter 1, I'm going to dial in a low pass 4 filter. And move the cutoff frequency just above halfway. The resonance is kind of down to about a quarter. The volume of the filter is on full. And keep the mix of the two filters, mix right up to mix 1, so we're just hearing filter 1 for the time being. And that's about it for the filters really. We're just going to start doing a bit of envelope modulation here. So with envelope 1, I'm going to shape it a little bit like this with a tight attack, and keep the decay around halfway. Sustain, just bring it up a little bit, and then I'm going to start modulating the cutoff frequency here with this envelope. So I'm pulling it around kind of in the reverse modulation. So I'm going to get that nice shape, and I'm also going to add this envelope modulation to the intensity of oscillator 1. So this is going to, by pulling it down, it's going to be pulling the formant shift down in this kind of shape. So in the same, it's going to be following the same kind of modulation really as this cutoff frequency. So getting some quite nice kind of sounds here by just kind of modulating this intensity knob here. So what we can do next is start modulating the volume envelope. So we're just getting a bit of a shorter, kind of less of a sustained sound. So pull the attack up to about a quarter and push the decay up a little bit, bring the sustain right down. So we've got something like that now. Got quite a nice stabby sound. I'm going to bring a bit of white noise into this sound now. We can route the white noise to filter 1 and pull the amp up a little bit. Getting quite a nice bit of top end on the sound now. So we can go and dial in a few effects as well here. So put a delay on there, turn the damp up to about 3/4 of the way, push the feedback up a little bit, maybe bring the dry wet mix down a little bit, and the left and right channels I'm going to put 1/2, so it's quite a sort of slow delay really on both channels, both left and right channels. Gonna add a little bit of reverb here. So we already have a little bit of vibrato macroed in here from our initialized preset, so we can just bring a bit of that into the sound. And just dial it into taste. I'm going to give the sound 2 voices. I'm going to keep it as polyphonic so we can sort of play chords on it and stuff. Turn the pitch cutoff on and just slide this a little bit of the way down just to thicken the sound up a little bit more. Gives us a bit of a chorusy edge to the sound. I'm going to make it sound really wide by turning the pan position on. Maybe give a bit more size on the reverb. Turn the feedback on and just bring the amp up a little bit just to thicken the sound further. That's our sound done really. One final thing is I kept these oscillators routed to both filters and we haven't actually got a filter activated in here, but I'm just going to turn the volume of this filter up. And now when I pull the mix slider down from mix 1 to mix 2, it's basically, by pulling this down here, it's just bypassing the filters. Which is just quite a nice option to have with the sound if we want to start automating this or even macro it up. So So you can see the kind of creative opportunities there with this type of sound. So if you enjoyed this tutorial, then make sure you check out part 3 in this series where we're going to be making a kind of sequence type sound, a deep techie sequence sound in Native Instruments Massive. Alright, thanks for watching. Cheers.